For centuries, a single word drove men to the brink of insanity. It lured kings to bankruptcy, turned explorers into monsters, and led thousands of soldiers to starve in the suffocating heat of the South American jungle. They were looking for a city where the streets were paved with gold and the walls glittered like the sun. But here is the chilling truth. The Golden City was never found, not because it was well hidden, but because of a tragic misunderstanding of an ancient ritual. Thousands died, searching for a place that didn't exist, at least not in the way they thought. What was the real El Dorado? The answer is far more intimate, and far more golden than any city could ever be. The legend began not with a city, but with a man. The term El Dorado literally means the Gilded One. It refers to a ritual of the Muisca people, who lived in the high Andes of modern-day Colombia. When a new leader took power, he would be stripped naked and covered in balsam gum, then sprayed with fine gold dust until his body shone like a statue. He would board a raft loaded with emeralds and gold objects, row to the center of Lake Guatavita, and throw the treasures into the water as an offering to the gods. Once the ritual was over, he was no longer just a man, he was the ruler. This wasn't a myth. This was history. But when the Spanish conquistadors heard rumors of a golden man, their greed transformed a person into a palace, and a ritual into a city of infinite wealth. In 1541, Gonzalo Pizarro and Francisco de Orellana led an expedition of 340 Spanish soldiers and 4,000 indigenous people into the Amazon. They weren't just looking for gold, they were looking for an empire to rival Spain. Wheaten months, famine and disease struck. The explorers were reduced to eating their own dogs and even the leather of their saddles. Orellana eventually abandoned Pizarro, floating down the entire length of the Amazon River, climbing Isa warrior women, the Amazons, further fueling the myths. For centuries, Europeans tried to drain Lake Guatavita. In 1580, a merchant named Sepulveda used 8,000 laborers to cut a notch in the lake's rim. The water level dropped, and they found some gold. But the walls collapsed, killing hundreds and ending the project. Even the most brilliant minds fell for the lie. Sir Walter Raleigh, the favorite of Queen Elizabeth I, became obsessed. He believed El Dorado was a city called Manoa on the shores of Lake Parimé in Guyana. His obsession cost him everything. On his second expedition in 1617, his son was killed in a battle with the Spanish. Raleigh returned to England, empty-handed, broken-hearted, and was promptly executed by King James I. His last words before the axe fell were about his failure to find the gold that never was. So, did El Dorado exist? Yes. But it was never a city of gold. It was a spiritual act of letting go. To the Muisca, gold wasn't currency. It was a bridge to the divine. They threw it away to honor their gods. The tragedy of El Dorado is the tragedy of perspective. The Europeans saw wealth to be hoarded. The indigenous people saw beauty to be sacrificed. Thousands of lives were lost because one culture couldn't understand that for another. Gold wasn't for the living, it was for the eternal. The real El Dorado wasn't found in the jungle. It was found in 1969 in a small cave in Colombia, in the form of a tiny golden raft. A reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones we stop searching for. If you are a conquistador in 1541, would you have followed the golden rumors or stayed behind? The line between ambition and madness is thin. Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more deep dives into history's most dangerous myths.